So the supplies that you're going to need to make this wreath is going to be, of course, your deco mesh. I did pick this up at the Dollar Tree. This is just the fall, what they have out for fall. Now, I had this from last year. When I went to look through my things, I was surprised that I had so many rolls of this stuff. And I think I had bought it because I was going to make me one last year, but after I had got finished making everybody else one, I just didn't have time to make myself one, so I kept it. But I'm using 4 of these. You can certainly use 2, 3, however many, but you're probably going to want to have at least 9 rolls of the deco mesh. You also want to have some pipe cleaners, and I just got these orange ones, but any of the colors that's in these particular things you could use, and it'll blend real well. Um, it really probably wouldn't even matter if you had, some off color of pipe cleaner, but because you're not really going to see them. But if you can get them to match, I would. Some scissors here, and then of course you're going to need the wire frame, round frame from the Dollar Tree as well. So other than that, the only thing you'll need is just any embellishments that you might want to add to your wreath later. So what I'm going to start out doing first, this was a roll that I had already opened up, but I just think it's easier when you're making your wreath if you go ahead and cut all your strips that you need, and then go ahead and make the bundles ahead of time. That way, once you're done with making all your bundles, then you can just add them to your wire frame all at one time and you're done. You can certainly do this however you want to. I just am one of these people, I like to do this in sections, and I don't really measure this. You can measure it if you want to, but I usually cut about 6 to 8 inch strips of this, and there are different ways that you can cut this. I've seen people use cutting boards or these healing mats, and then use like a little pizza roller type cutter thing and lay several of these on top and cut multiple pieces at a time. I don't do that. I just eyeball it and then I just cut it. Each piece does not have to be exact because when you roll them, you're not really going to be able to tell anyway. But I just stretch this out and then I'll just cut it the size that I want it. You just want to make sure it's a good enough size that when you roll these up, it's not going to come undone on you. So you want to be able to roll them up several times and make them look like this. And what I usually do is I'll just go ahead and do one roll of color at a time. And just so you know, I've kind of like got this roll tucked up underneath this wire to hold it down. But I'll just lay this on top of this here and stretch it out. And then, I just cut it like that. And I just keep doing that until I pretty much get through one roll. Then once I get through each row, I'll have, all my bundles, and then I'll start putting my bunches together. And then I'll do it again, until I've done all of them but the last row. And then I usually hold off on, because sometimes I may not always use all of the last row, but I don't want to, cut things that I'm not going to use. So anyway, that's what I do first. And something else that I do is I don't really do this all in one night. I like to do this in stages, I said. So, I may pick one night just to cut up my deco mesh. I may pick another night to make my bunches, and then another night to add them to my wreath, and then another night again to add any extra embellishments to my wreath as well. This is something that I like to do while I'm sitting down watching television, and I did post a couple of videos on Instagram with me doing that, because I have went ahead and made some of these bunches ahead of time. But it's just nice and relaxing to be able to sit there while I'm watching TV with my little doggy on my lap and cut this stuff out and put it together. So I just felt like you could probably see it better over here at the table, and that's why I decided to show you here versus in my chair. But once I get my pieces together, I'm going to show you how I put these in bundles. Okay, so I've got, 4 of these here that's cut, and I'm just going to show you how I put them together. Now, you can do these in different patterns, however you want to arrange them. Like I said, you could do all one color, you could do 2 colors, 3 colors. I'm just going to do 4. So I'm just rolling each one of these up. They're pretty easy to roll because they're on a roll when you cut them off, so they're kind of already disciplined into going that direction. And I just kind of hold it in my hand while I get the others done. And they're kind of sticky, so they might kind of like stick to each other. but I get them rolled up, put them together, and then you want to arrange them in the order that you want them to go. Now you can do all of yours in the same exact order. And when I'm talking order, I mean, like orange on top, then green, then yellow. But I like to switch mine up, make just a different variety. So the way I've got mine set, I did mine in bundles of 4 different patterns, and I made sure that each one, I had four where each one of the sections had a brown on top at some point, a orange on top, a green on top, a yellow on top, and then also the same thing with them being on the bottom. And I just alternate them as I'm putting them on my wreath. I just like the way it looks. Like I said, it just depends on what you want to do and how colorful you want to make it. But you basically are just putting these together and just pinching them in the center. It's not really that hard to do. And I take a pipe cleaner and I just, if I want my brown to be on top, I'll lay it on the top. If I want my yellow to be the top, then I will start this way. And you just want to wrap your pipe cleaner around the bottom and make your little, make sure it's even, your whatever's left of your pipe cleaner. And then I just take it, and you want to hold it and then just twist it a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. And once you got that, this is your bundle right here. So like I said, I had 4 different patterns of bundles that I use to alternate. Now these sections on these wreaths, there is, let's see, 6 sections. And when I say sections, I mean it's going from one little wire section here to a wire section here. Depending on how full you want your wreath, I think you can fit either 8 to 10 bundles in one section. So as you're putting them on, you are going to have to push them together. And it's going to seem like it's tight, but once you get everything put on and you fluff up your wreath, it will be very pretty. I can't remember exactly how many I did, but I'm thinking it was around 8 to 10. So when you attach these to your wreath, if you go ahead and have all your bundles pre-made, it just makes your wreath process move along a lot faster. But if you want to have a wreath that's wider and with the center being a little bit more open, you will want to use your 2 outer rings here. If you want it to be, more filled in the center and smaller, use your 2 inner rings, or you can use the 2 in the middle here. So it, just depends. I started doing this one already, and I started it on the outer 2. I'm going to see how that looks. I think I'm probably going to want it to be that way because I am going to put a sign in the middle of mine. But I have been known to put half of it together and then realize I don't like it like that and take them all off and put them on a different one. But you do want to use 2 versus 1 because you just get a better hold, using the 2. So just to show you how these go, I always start on one side, work in sections of this piece in here. So you're just going to take your 2 pipe cleaners here and you're going to stick it around the 2 points that you want to use. Now I want to use these 2 outer ones, so I am, if you can see here, I've got this on one side of it and this on the outer side. And I'll just show you up close so you can see that, how I've got that done. And all I'm going to do is pull these together like I did when I was, putting the bundles together. And then I'm going to twist the pipe cleaner just to secure it on there a few times. Now, if you want to conserve on your pipe cleaners, because you do have quite a bit of this left over, you can cut your pipe cleaners in half before you do this. But I did that on one of my wreaths, and I just felt like it was a lot harder for me to work with the shorter pipe cleaners. Now, it did work. It did hold. It wasn't anything like that. I just felt like it was just a lot harder for me to maneuver. So what I would rather do is leave them long, and then after I get done with my wreath, I usually just kind of like tuck these and wrap them around the wires here. Ain't nobody going to see them anyway. Or if you want to, you can go back and take scissors and just cut them off. So it's up to you. But just to show you, I had already started attaching bundles on this side of the wreath. And right now I've got 4 bundles, and these are the 4 I was talking about. As you can see, I've got the brown on top, the orange on top, the yellow on top, and the green. And then on the back side, it's the same way. They each color. I just feel like that when you fluff up your wreath, it is going to like be a, with them alternating like that, it's going to be a good mixture of them. So I think any way you do this wreath, they would be beautiful. I like doing the little curly wreaths. I just think they're a lot easier. I've tried the ones that you thread through, and you know, I guess I'm gonna have to do a little bit more learning or watch a few more videos on that because I haven't mastered that one yet. But as you do them, this already looks pretty full. But as you do them, like I said, you're gonna push these down as you're adding them on, and it's gonna make more room. Now, pushing this down right here so far, I've got 4, and it looks like I've got half of this piece left, so I'm probably going to only do 8 per section on this. So when I do that with 6 sections, I think that comes up to 48. So I'm going to make sure that I make 48, at least 48 bundles starting out. And then, of course, I won't make any more unless I change my mind, decide I want to add a few to each one. But you can always go back and add more if you want to. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish adding, my pieces to it. And then I'll let you see what this looks like once all this is on. Now this is just one section, so if this tells you how full and big that this wreath is going to be, that's just one of 6. So I probably could get a couple more on here if I pushed them together, but I don't think I'm going to. I like the way that looks, so I would say 8 is probably the magic number here. Okay, so this is actually the next day. I had told you that I had done my wreath in different stages just because even though this don't take an awful long time to do, I mean, it can be a little time consuming. So I finished it up last night, and I figured that today I would just go ahead and record because I've got some sunlight here. But this is the finished product after you get all of your pieces on. Now you can see I've got quite a lot of space in the center. The other one that I did last year, I do not think that I used the 2 outer rings. I think I had used the 2 inner rings. And that is pretty as well. It just depends on what your preference is. You can still use the signs in the middle if you do decide you want to go a little bit closer in. It just fills it in a little more. And probably if I made this again or made another one like this, I probably would again do the 2 inner rings just because you can kind of see, and I'll show you the inner ring here. And it's not that big of a deal. It was nice that I was able to fold my pipe cleaners back down and around, so it does kind of cover that wire a little bit. But plus, once I get my sign on it, it's going to cover that as well. And you can move these around. You can push these down a little bit in the center, fluff these up how you want it to go. But I was just going to give you an idea of what you can do with this. Now, for something to me that's this colorful, I'm probably not going to add a whole lot of embellishments to this just because I feel like it might make it too busy. And some of the extra things could get lost in here. I think just putting a sign on it and maybe a bow in the corner will be enough to complete this. Now if I was using just 1 or 2 colors, then I probably could add some, you could put some bows in here somewhere. You could add fall leaves, lights, all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of options that you can do for this. One of the nice things too about keeping your pipe cleaners versus clipping them off is that you can thread them back through to the front and use them to hold whatever other embellishments that you want to put onto your wreath. So I've got 3 signs here, and I'm just going to hold them up for now just to show you kind of what they would look like on here. But this is the Harvest Blessings sign that I had picked up before, and this will be something really pretty to put into the center of this. This is actually Madeline's favorite one. When I was holding them up, she said that she liked this one the best. As far as attaching these to your wreath, all you really need to do is just take a couple of pipe cleaners. You can take the string off of your sign if you want to. You don't have to, and then just thread your pipe cleaners through these 2 little holes here, and then thread them through the back side of your wreath and just wrap them around the wire in the back. What I would suggest to do if you do put a sign on is find a way to secure the bottom of it. I mean, it might hang okay as long as you don't pull it too tight up here. You don't want it to be bowing up, but I have actually took like a little drill and drilled a hole in the bottom in one of the darker areas and run a pipe cleaner through that also just to kind of secure it on the bottom. of the wreath. But that is one option here. Last year, I don't remember seeing, or I haven't seen this out this year. I'm not saying that they don't have them out or they won't put them out, but I bought this sign last year. So I think this is really pretty. It just says Harvest Blessings. Again, it's just different. It's got the glitter on it. And I made a friend I work with a wreath like this, and this is the sign that I attached to hers. And I did put a picture of that on Instagram from last year. So I think that is a really pretty sign to add to this as well. You can also put like, you know, like a welcome. You know, if you just got like a little plaque that says welcome, you want to run it across the center, you can do that. There's so many different things you can do with that. And then this year's sign, the Pumpkin Kisses and Harvest Wishes, this I feel like is a little bit too, I mean, it would still work, I think. I'm sorry, I'm having to rearrange my hands here. I think it would still work. You can still make it look pretty, but I just think it's a little bit too big maybe for this particular wreath, for my taste anyway. But that's something else of how it looks. Any sign that you put on here is going to be really beautiful. So I'm not going to attach the signs for the sake of this video. It was mainly just to show you how to get this started. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do and what sign I'm going to use. I might find something. They might be putting something out in the next few weeks that I prefer to use instead. I will not be hanging this up until September, so I've got some time to get that together. And you know, in addition, you don't even need to have a sign. If you don't want a sign, you know, just putting a really pretty bow, you know, like on the right here on the bottom or somewhere on the top or even in the middle or whatever would be pretty. I mean, this is beautiful in its own. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was able to give you some ideas on something you can do. Like I said, it's pretty simple. I'm all about simple. If it's going to take anything that's going to cause me to have any kind of skill to it, I'm not probably going to do it. But just to show you up close, and I'm sure that if y'all have been to your Dollar Trees, you have seen this deco mesh out. And you can just see how the colors just, you know, are just assorted and how they blend into this. And, you know, they do have some out. You can make Halloween wreaths. I did make a Halloween wreath for me last year. And I will probably put a picture on Instagram of my Halloween wreath. And I did several different wreaths last year. So I'm probably going to do a couple more too for fall. So just stay tuned. If you don't like this one, if this isn't suit your style, I'll have some more coming out. But thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.